see white lies dancing between the lines. She's an atheist. Carousels in her mind, spinning all in her eyes. She's an atheist.
Ooh.
Hello and welcome to Digital Freethought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is Sunday, May 31st, 2020. I'm Larry Rhodes, or Doubter 5, and as usual, we have our co-host, Wombat, on the phone with us. Hello, Wombat.
Surrounded by your glory, when will your heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Will I want to do this still? Imagine.
I can't imagine either.
Those are very good singing. Those are very high notes. I'm gonna mercy me. You got my respect. That's
good notes.
I topped out.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good.
And our guests today are Boudreaux. Say hello, Boudreaux.
Hello.
And J.W. Kennedy. Hello, J.W. I didn't leave anyone out. Digital Freethought Radio Hour is a talk radio show about atheism, free thought, rational thought, and humanism in the sciences. And conversely, we also talk about religion, religious faiths, gods, holy books, and superstition. And if you get the feeling that you're the only non-believer in Knoxville, well, you're just not. Nice. There are several atheist, free-thinking, and rationalist groups that exist right here in Knoxville, and we'll be telling you how you can connect with them right after the mid-show breaks. Also, did you know that there has been a streaming atheist call-in video show? Used to be a TV show. Did you know that one about?
Yes. And I'm so glad that you love obscure Japanese anime, because Otomo Game no Himitsu Flagu is a really brilliant game about an otome game where a girl gets transported into a video game where she's the villainess. She's the bad guy rival for the love character, but she's still herself. So she's actually a really nice person, and she makes friends with all the beautiful boys and all the beautiful girls.
I'll have to watch
everybody
that.
It's amazing.
It sounds great.
Really, really good.
But it's not our show.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
No, that's not the right one. It's called Freethought Forum. We'll give you more information after the mid-show break about how you can watch it, maybe even become involved in it. If you'd like to interact with this show during this show, the broadcast when we do it on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, go to Facebook and search for Digital Freethought Radio Hour and use the messaging function to send us questions or comments. Or you can just email to askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org. What is our topic today, Wombat?
I thought something really incredible happened yesterday. It was supposed to happen on Wednesday, but there's no sweat. I'm not rushing. But we just launched a spaceship from the USA with people in it up to the space station from a private company that not only was able to launch the spaceship, but also have the spaceship land back down on Earth on a little freighter. And in my opinion, Larry, you're just mute and unmute yourself. You come right back. But I'm saying, like, in my opinion, that is one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen. That's like a spectacular thing that makes me feel like in a lifetime that I'm experiencing right now, I might see, I might be in the generation of people who like just came off the moon landing to International Space Station to first flight out to Mars. Like that actually might happen in my lifetime, and I feel really excited about that.
When I was a kid, one of the things that, science fiction movies were always rockets going to like some other planet, and they would land like that. They would land, point down, with their bottom down.
Exactly.
And I never thought that I would actually see that because it didn't make much sense anymore. But with modern technology and computers and having the computer figure out all the logistics as it's coming down, it makes sense now. And it's just amazing to actually see it come to fruition.
I just want to get everyone's opinions on like this incredible thing that happened. I wonder if we're desensitized to it, or if we think of it as like the incredible event that it could be. Boudreaux, you'll be the first off the bat. What do you think about this, man?
So one of the things I thought was cool, and this was actually during the Wednesday launch attempt, but hearing the astronauts talk about the technology in the cab, and then they were like flashing images of the previous launches, and then even in more recent launches, and then talking about, they've got touch screens.
Yeah.
They used to have to do all of these extra procedures and double checks and open up these books and look at things, and now it's all just like click, 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 click.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to wonder how far behind American flight technology or the world flight technology.
It's insane.
You
It's
walk
so
into
bad.
the cockpit of a jet airliner, and you still got a billion buttons and levers and everything you got to keep in mind. Why not just
it's
replace
crazy.
them with a heads-up display or
a gaming controller? Because I can fly a drone pretty well with this
We've
thing,
all
right?
flown planes simultaneously, or simulationally.
Yeah.
On computers. Heck, why not just make it part of the cockpit?
If anything, make it a keyboard and then just call it end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be fun.
I will say this though, we have for the band I play in, we've got a digital mixer. Basically, it's just a box where you plug things in. There are no knobs, dials, levers, anything, and you can't control it all unless you have like an iPad or.
Yeah, I've seen it,
and that's fantastic. It works great. You can save things. You can, software update. You can get new options. But that mixer in your picture, right behind you, daughter 5, physically right behind you, not
right
an image
over there.
Yeah,
virtually.
But the difference though is if you have something go wrong and you're at a show and you need to fix something quickly, and your battery dies on the iPad or Wi-Fi connection's bad, you can't change it. And I'm wondering how that translates to in space. Something goes funny and now you don't have a physical thing to turn,
So my 2 cents from that was, and I saw a video where they actually made comments on like how they used to be all push knobs, and none of that stuff's like hard analog. Like it's not like you turn a crank and like a string pulls something like a brake. It's more of like talking to a relay and the relay decides what happens. But what's cool about the touchscreen display is even if both astronauts pass out, Mission Control can fly that plane to where it needs to be. Yeah. Because it's it's close enough where it's like, we know how to fly this plane. We're good. You guys are there just to look pretty.
Can you imagine you're orbiting Mars, you're an astronaut, you're orbiting Mars, you're coming down, and you're about ready to land, and you hit the button or you hit the screen and you go boom, the blue screen of death.
Yeah, that'd be so bad. Yeah.
You say, please reboot.
We'll take care of IT support. Martian IT support. But I'm JW Kennedy, stage name. What do you got? What do you think about this?
Well, I actually just recently watched a short documentary on Mars exploration and how they've been trying to do it for almost 30 years. And it keeps, for political reasons, haven't been receiving the funding that they need. But in the documentary, I don't know if this is still the plan, but they're going to send up an unmanned spaceship, and it's going to land on Mars, and they're going to make sure it lands safely, and that's actually going to be their trip home. They're going to switch spaceship from one to the other.
That's cool. I like that. Man, I can't wait.
To save he said it like it would save almost like half in their budget to do that.
Really?
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
forgot how he explained it.
Did they have a timeline on that?
No. When this is an older documentary from like 5 years ago or something like that, where they were still trying to work on getting the funding for it. It was still just talk. So
okay.
My big takeaway from this is I love the fact that it wasn't like a Christian project. It wasn't like a Muslim project. It wasn't like a white people or a black person or any particular group's project. We came together as a country and made this happen. And it took a lot of talent from a lot of different people. And it should be a demonstration that whether you're religious or not, you can work together to make an incredible thing happen. So there is progress possible. And it wasn't necessarily an action that was motivated by a religious belief. That's the other crux too. So like with different minds coming together on the basis of what can we do scientifically and make this like this engineering pursuit happen in real world and be incredible and be like safe for everybody else to go in it as well. That is a pursuit that I think even if you were listening to this and you're like a staunch Christian, you'd be like, but yeah, maybe science is actually pretty useful. Maybe science is kind of cool. And maybe we should check this out. Maybe I should fund this a little bit more. Or shouldn't brag about how high school is a waste of time.
We can't pray our way to Mars.
Man, I just feel like physics students in class will be like, well, what's this useful for? It's like, dude, did you just watch what happened on the news right now? You have to know this to do that. Like, do you want to do that? Do you want to be a part of that? This is where we're going right now. Like, you are the next generation. And I just think it's good. Go for it. No, I will say.
I was just saying it was exciting.
Yeah. One thing that did irk me a little bit. The countdown was done by a person who at the end of the countdown said Godspeed, which didn't bother me at first. because I had my Twitter ready to go like Godspeed on the science thing, but then I was like, I looked it up and I'm like, I can that with like God bless you, where it's like it's no particular endorsement of anything. It's like just an old saying. It's a ship that's flying up in space. I'm like, whatever, that's cool.
But we have to give credit to God for everything, because he does everything for
God
us,
and our moms.
even though
Makes
we
it
do
all
things for
possible.
ourselves. That's actually him doing it. So we have to give credit to him, or he'll be very upset.
Yeah. Anyway, though, I think good week as far as science goes, and you don't really have like something as obviously monumental that everyone can just dial in at the same time. So, Boudreaux.
Yeah.
We're still going off. I don't even know if we're coming off, but like we're still in this, COVID-19 situation, right?
Yeah.
It's still hard to reach out and connect with other people. We have something that I'd like to throw at you. JW Kennedy and I tried something yesterday that I thought might be interesting to you, and that is a 10-minute you cannot stop talking session. So like, someone picks a topic. They have like a list of 4 topics. Someone sees it for the first time, and they have to talk about those things and let them go wherever they go for 10 minutes. Here's the challenge. The person who's talking can't stop for 10 minutes. The person who's listening has to listen and work on that listening skills.
Type of thing.
Larry, what'd you say?
Stream of consciousness type of thing.
Exactly. It goes places, man. It goes places, and it was intense.
I like that.
10 minutes.
Definitely does.
JW, you mind recapping? And then Eric, I'd like to get your impression of this, if this is something you'd like to try out too. Yeah.
Well, I just said a couple of things that was the topic is something I'd been thinking about earlier this week. So I kind of got a chance to get it off of my chest. I hope I articulated it well.
You did incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
I mean,
I already know that. I mean, it's been therapeutic for me, and it's only been 24 hours.
Yeah. So we had like a topic like masculinity, for example. You want to touch on that?
Well, I just the LGBT plus movement and the identity politics surrounded this. I didn't meet my biological father till I was 24. I didn't have a father figure until I was around 13. My mom left when I was 8. So, and I was never really, I tried out for contact sports, really wasn't my thing. And so theater was my thing, and music was my thing, and science and video games were my thing. And so in high school, I kind of went through a little bit of this crisis. It's just like, well, I'm not like other guys, and I don't like the things other guys like. I must not be like a real man, as they say. And then I in some reflection, and maybe even maybe I talked to my therapist about it. I'm not sure, because I was seeing a therapist when I was a teenager. I realized that masculinity and femininity is not an exact science. They're both social constructs. They're both, when it comes to their roles, when it comes to, okay, this is what men usually like, or this is what men usually do.
It's a spectrum.
This is how men usually act. And I came to grips with this a long time before the LGBT movement and identity politics and the far left started presenting, 51 genders now? I'm just kind of confused by that. I haven't read the so-called sociological research that is claimed to support that, but it seems a bit much. It seems a bit unnecessary. Like, the only thing that really I concern myself with when I identify as what they say cisgender male is that I have the male parts, and that's about it. I don't see any good reason to believe that I have to be interested in cars to be a man. I have to watch football on a regular basis to be a man. I have to, fill in the blank to be a man. It's just, but I came to grips with that a long time ago. So anyway, that's kind of the soapbox on that.
Eric, how do you feel about that? Are you on the same page, or would you add some nuance to that?
No, and kind of wish Chad was able to join today because
Yeah,
he's
I miss
he's
him.
got a lot of he's staying pretty.
He's
busy.
flipping houses. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he's actually has a lot of kind of interest in this topic, and we've talked about it before. I guess for me, it gets a little tricky when you start talking about participating in sports, particularly competitive and Olympic level and things like that. You have transgender entering the equation and someone identifying a certain way. And I mean, how do you know that someone's not doing that just to win a medal or, and it gets, and this is one of those things where I don't think there's a simple answer to it. It's tough. It's a new road. I mean, we've had perverts going into bathrooms for, forever.
Yeah.
And now that we have bathrooms that are gender neutral, now everybody's all of a sudden worried about perverts. It's like, well, they were there before.
Yeah.
And I'm talking as a person who doesn't have kids. It's not so much the pervert in the bathroom aspect. It's just a very unhygienic pervert. It's like, that's the worst place you can do that in.
Yeah.
Can't you just find a playground somewhere? Actually, playgrounds are disgusting too, but I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, this thing about different genders playing in sports just to get a medal, like male identifying as a woman just to be able to get into women's sports. Maybe we have to break that down into height and weight, like we do boxing. Like a lightweight and middleweight, and just let them go at it. If they're all the same stature and weight, basically, they can compete. Maybe we just need to take another look at it.
What they're talking about now is requiring, if you went through puberty as a certain gender, you will have to compete as in that arena. And so, I don't know if that's something that they've put in as a rule yet, but I heard a rumor that that's what they're talking about. It's just
sounds like
they're
a right-wing
asking the question:
conservative
did they go
type
through
thing.
puberty as that? That particular gender.
Sounds like an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of label to put this on, but for me, it's always about consent. And if I have, for example, if I want to become a female woman's MMA star, right? If the lady knows what my history is and she's consenting to this and she knows she's going to beat me regardless of whatever my background is, we're consenting to this. But if I am very, very good post-surgery and I pass as a female and I have biological advantages that I'm carrying with me and I don't tell my opponent that, I feel like that's contrary to the consent of the fight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've seen both cases happen. And what I would like to just be is a transparent issue such that everyone who's aware of it and consenting to it are fine to compete. Because I feel like anyone can compete as long as there's consent involved.
Consensual.
But if it's not consent, or if there's like some stuff that's going on, it's like, who am I racing against? Why does this person have 4 quadriceps? This makes no sense. This person's half horse. That's not cool. I didn't sign up for that. It's like, well, they're trans species. Like, that's not, I didn't consent to this. I'm out. It's like, but if I consent to it, I'll race a horse. I will watch that on TV any day. There is a interesting idea that in the realm of non-combative sports, that it's a non-issue, whether you say like, hey, bike racing, it's an exhibition game at the most. Like, this isn't really like a tournament. We just want to show we're inclusive. And I feel like even in those levels, when the participants aren't consenting to having, someone who is transitioning, or someone who's maybe because we're hominids, a stronger gender coming, or stronger sex coming on to like this into this arena, it feels like it's an unfair disadvantage for someone who's worked really hard to get outcompeted by someone who probably had a biological advantage. And that's unfair. I feel like just make it consensual and I'm totally fine with it. And if not, I mean, Black people have the same situation.
There's a problem.
Go for it.
Let's say that you're in the Olympics and you don't really get to pick who the other country is going to submit for the competition, and you don't consent. Well, all of a sudden you're booted from the competition. You have no choice, no chance at all of getting that prize. Yeah.
I think people have protested though before. Like, that's not the first time people have said, well, I'm just not going to the Olympics then. Get somebody else. And then the rest of the team is like, we're not going either. We've had entire countries just say, we're not competing in this sport because Germans are Nazis. We're not
or
going to
Russians are steroiding.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, but I think I think if we look in history, and I'm not sure how analogous this is, but I can say like there used to be a time where black people couldn't play baseball with white people. And so black people said, we're really good at baseball. We're going to just make our own league. It's going to be called the Negro League. Yeah. And that was like a really, really cool sport because it was the same rules, but people were a lot faster. People were hitting the ball a lot harder and the balls were flying a lot faster. And people were like, we should probably have some of these guys play with us. Let's make this work out. And next thing you know, sports got a lot better as a result. But I'm saying like like no one was supporting the Negro League. There's no funding like for that. That was like grassroots as you can get. And it's a really interesting history behind that too. It wouldn't be hard to demonstrate the talent of like individuals who are transitioning and saying like, hey, this is a unique aspect of the sport. Maybe I can find other people who are like on the same level. And if not, I don't know, but I just feel like you should just work harder to get the consent rather than sneak it in, because I feel like that's going to harm you in the long run, even if you benefit in the short term.
Well, Boudreaux, we all kind of stepped on your topic there.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you'd like to flesh out on that before we?
No, and I guess for me, it would be interesting to comment on the format that you guys did. So the 10-minute kind of stream of consciousness talk, that sounds really cool to you. So you don't tell people the topic ahead of time?
No. So, but we do give them random 4 topics to go off of. And then from there, they are free to pick any of the initial ones and then branch off to wherever they need to go from there. And then after that, we just do a quick review session. In the meanwhile, I'm just recording like some of the best quotes that I've heard. And it's insane the places you go. And there's also a follow-up where it's like, okay, you talk about these 2 things when you're on your stream of conscious. Let's go back to these topics and go from there. And we got to some really intense territory. Like I was not anticipating it for it to get as emotional as we got to, but it's a cool thing when you just have to keep talking and you don't put that filter on. And then eventually it's just, this is what it is. And even for the listener, it's a bit exhausting to just say, man, there's a lot of stuff to pull through this, man. Yeah, it was intense, dude. So
is there any kind of a rebuttal or any kind of a comment back from the listener, or no?
I don't know. I don't know the format so well. I don't want it to be a place where it's like, here's my counter argument to this. Right. It's more of like, these are the positive things I'm pulling out.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is good.
And then yeah. JW, what do you think? Should it be more of a rebuttal? Maybe it's good to get some feedback.
You just introduced me to this, so I'm not. I'd say clarification questions. It depends on. I don't know. I think that'd be something to just think about in time.
Yeah, there is something called the interrupt
what's
card.
Productive. I mean, do we want this to be like an SE session, or do we want this to be just more of a, venting session?
Yeah,
I just don't think we can have both at the same time.
Exactly, and I'm trying not to make it be either, because SE, I don't know how good SE is over video chat, and I also don't know if I have the patience to listen to someone vent. But it's more of like
or preach.
Exactly, because you don't know who you're talking to sometimes, and I don't have patience for that. But it's more of like a interesting, where is this going to go, and how, and I know I don't have control over it, so I'm not even going to try to have control over it. I just want to see if I can see the branches of thoughts, and from point to point to point, can I see like the trajectory of the conversation as a listener? Because a lot of the time when you're talking to someone, you're hanging on the words that they're saying, but you also need to see where they're going, if it's in a positive direction or a negative direction as far as the conversation is going. And I felt like it's just a really good talent to be able to understand momentum in a conversation and like vector, like where's this directing? Where are we going? Where we will be like 2 minutes from now? Do we end up there, or are we somewhere completely different? It's just good. It's just nice to have my finger on that. There is a lot of cool things going on, but man, I think we're already at the half of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're 27 minutes in. How about this? Before we take a break, one more thing. I'm kind of sad by the passivity that I'm sensing from you guys. We just launched a spaceship with people in it into space, And you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we've done that before. That's happened.
Was it in your lifetime?
Well, we tried to launch people into space once in my lifetime, but
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
The
like, I think-
International Space Station's had people in it for years.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think the more things
Well,
happen.
this sounds
more
like the
we get
first
to-
time a spaceship has actually come down and landed itself.
Yeah,
Is
from
that
a private company. Like,
Yeah, that is
like Amazon
that's a
did
big
that or
deal.
something. Yeah, like if Walgreens launched a spaceship into space, you'd be
Hey,
like,
don't-
whoa.
I
It
heard
could
Disney's
happen.
building a hotel. Disney's planning on building a hotel that's going to orbit the Earth.
Right. There's always been a question of what do you do with a lot of money? And I feel like Elon Musk is doing the best, coolest
Yeah.
things with money. Like the Virgin Mobile guy, he's like on a water ski with models. It's like, sure, but hip hop artists that are losing their money and going bankrupt do that same thing too. Do something cool. Elon Musk is like,
Yeah.
I could build an Iron Man suit or I can make a spaceship and make electric cars and like do all that. Do all of it. And he's like, I'm still going to do all of it. And I'm like, that's
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on the Iron Man suit. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, so we'll take a break for a station identification and maybe a song. This is WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we'll see you in just a minute.
Ooh, 103.9 FM Digital Freethought Radio Hour. Simply the best.
Okay, you ready to continue?
Let's do it.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. 5, and this is the Digital Freethought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LP FM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is Sunday, May 31st, 2020. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Let's talk about the Freethought groups that you can join right here in Knoxville. First, there's the Atheist Society of Knoxville, founded in 2002. We're in our 18th year. We have about 1,020 members now. You can join us online at knoxvilleatheist.org, or you can simply Google Knoxville Atheists and you'll find us. By the way, if you don't live in Knoxville, you should still go to Meetup and search for an atheist group in your town. Don't find one? Start one. That's right. Another large free-thinking group in Knoxville are the Rationalists of East Tennessee. That's RET. Just go to rationalist.org to find out about their events and all about them. Earlier in the show, we said we'd talk about Knoxville Atheist Call-In TV show. Well, it's called Freethinkers United Coalition. It's a kind of a coalition of the different free-thinking groups in Knoxville, and they're doing it on YouTube now. Go to YouTube and type in Freethinkers United Coalition of Knoxville. And remember, you can find archives of their shows on YouTube where a fan has been posting them. If you're interested in getting involved in the TV or this radio show, just go to an Ask Meetup or RET meeting or email us. Send a request to askanatheist at knoxvilleatheist.org if you want to. And you may be our next co-host or guest. With us on the show are Wombat and guest Joey, J.W. Kennedy, Boudreaux, and we miss you, Dread Pirate Higgs. Maybe next time.
Yeah, you too, Chad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where do you want to come back on the topic?
Hey, I like to start with my favorite section of the whole show. Do you guys see where it is?
Mm-hmm.
You guys find it?
Yeah.
Did you found it?
The kid?
I can't find my love. Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love.
Where's
the love?
Today's question comes from Satan Claus from Reddit. He's been posting on r/Street Epistemology. He has a question for us. He says, hey, how would you respond to someone who uses locations as justification for their belief? Here's the full question. I was wondering a lot about street epistemology, and I don't have a way to question whether locations are reliable or not. For example, if a Christian were to say that they believe that Moses really received the 10 Commandments from God because Mount Sinai exists, what is a good way to respond to that?
Well,
Matter of fact, I'll throw this out at you.
real locations have been used in fictional works for centuries, millennia.
What?
Yes.
Really?
How long has England been around? Does that mean that Merlin and
that's a great question.
King Arthur were real, and magic and dragons and all that is real? Troy's been around for thousands of years. Does that mean that Achilles really was invulnerable? You know, stories grow up about real places as well as mythical places. There's no credence to be had in that direction.
Wow. Very, very straightforward.
That's right.
Boudreaux,
That's
what do you
me.
think? Boudreaux, what do you think? And then maybe on the angle of trying to actually convince someone who thinks that this is a good argument, what would you say to them? Say someone says, hey, well, this Jerusalem does exist, therefore.
Well, I think probably the way I would look at it is one of the best ways to craft a lie or a con or something like that would be to try to cling to as much truth as you can, right? So if you're gonna whip up a story to try to explain why your wife got pregnant or try to explain why it rains or something like that, I mean, pepper in as much truth as you can. To make it more believable. So of course you're going to pick real places and real things. Or why can't it just be that, things that were put in a book for fiction kind of became something, people picked up on the name, and we have names of cities and streets surely named after fictional places, right? I mean, I can't right offhand, but
Harry Potter's train station is actually in London. There's actually a placard for it. Yeah.
So I don't know. Seems kind of silly.
Though I've heard that argument thrown at me before, so it's not like it's not uncommon. Oh my gosh, I've heard it in the laboratory. All right, J.W. Kennedy, go for it.
When you're studying history, you've got to have some sort of discernment. You've got to be able to distinguish from what's story from a historical event. And religious people are fine with every other religion and every other mythology and every other story speaking that is extraordinary and clearly just a story being considered,
fiction.
Yeah, fiction. But when we come to their text and we use the same methods and we discern, hey, it kind of looks like fiction. Sorry. It's just, I don't know what to do. Sorry.
Yeah. I met someone who was really, really bragging that they went over to Kadesh. And I was just like, I don't know where Kadesh even is on the map. I didn't say that out loud. I was just wondering, where's Kadesh? And why does it sound familiar? I'm like, what? So I asked the girl, and this is in a laboratory, we're handling microbe plates and stuff. And it's just like, so where's Kadesh? It's like, it's Middle East. You never heard of Kadesh? It's like, no, what's special about it? I would love to know. And she looked at me very, very angrily and she said, it's where the Bible happened. And I was like, in a switch of my head just went I don't care anymore. I was just like, oh, okay. I don't know what the sound was, but it was sort of like, oh, all right. We just did the rest of the work. I think I walked out of the room later on, but I never felt such a hard flip. Just like, oh, so I don't have to care about what you think anymore. Great. Wonderful. That saved me a lot of time. To add to what everyone else is saying, I would say, strictly from an epistemological point of view, and this may not necessarily be the response, but it'll be, if I read in a book that Mount Sinai existed and it was like the Bible, that wouldn't even be good enough proof that Mount Sinai existed. There's much better proof to determine if things exist than reading in a 2,000-year-old book. I can look it up in a map. I can go on Google Maps. I can see people that came from there. I can see cultures. I can look it up on Wikipedia. I could visit there myself. All of these would be better standards of evidence. And as long as it's a mundane claim, New York exists, I'm sure there are cities that are named after New York, right? New York probably isn't the only city called New York in America. There's a lot of cities that have Yorkshire in them and are new versions of English towns that came over. But these are very mundane claims, and I can still find a better standard of evidence to support those claims. But when you use these low standards of evidence to support really, really grandiose claims, like Moses existed and he was a guy who could split the seas with a stick and cause food to fall out of the sky and people and move I forgot how many slaves he moved out of Egypt, but it was more than 12. Let's just say it's more than 12, definitely more than 12. All of these things would need a higher standard of evidence because they're much more extraordinary claims. Right. My idea is, go for it.
Well, what you were saying a little while ago about your lady friend and the little switch flipping.
Yeah.
Nobody's mentioned him yet, but now I can't remember his name. It was in my mind just a minute ago.
His name's Sam Harris.
Sam Harris, exactly.
But, don't worry, I forget him all the time.
Yeah, he says, and the way he puts it is, when they do things like that, when they say things like that, they pay a price for bringing the magical world into the regular world. Like if you could be talking to your friend and then all of a sudden he starts off on this rant that he saw Elvis yesterday. Right. Well, he pays a price, you know, in the conversation and his standing in the conversation, as it were. And
no, you're absolutely correct.
She certainly did. You no longer cared for her opinion or what her opinion was, and that was.
And when she talks. And when she talks to other people who believe the exact same thing she does, she doesn't realize that she's cashing checks that's the same check back and forth. Right. So she's not making a profit. It's only when she talks to someone that's completely out of her bubble that it's like, hey, where'd my money go? I thought I gave him $5. It's like, where'd it go? It's gone because I don't know that anymore.
JW brought up a thing a little while ago about how historians, or maybe it was you, were talking about how, you know, we don't ascribe to history things like magic and things. It's called the concept of continuity in history. Historians, when they look at the past and they see stories like, you know, Jesus then rose from the dead, you know, they say, well, people don't rise from the dead now. We don't see that happening. This is not something that we credit now. Why would we credit it then? It's a continuity of history that historians have to ascribe to be taken seriously, basically, in their own field.
Yeah.
Boudreaux.
Can I jump back to the previous point you guys were making about cash and checks?
Yeah.
So I've thought about this a lot lately, and I think maybe we brought this up, maybe not here, but one of our offline talks. Do you guys feel that when you meet someone for the first time and you find out they're religious, do you feel like you have almost want to say a prejudice because you're kind of prejudging against that person? Yeah,
I do.
And then on the flip side, when you meet someone and you find out they're an atheist, do you kind of have the opposite reaction? Like, I want to hug you.
I feel that they're operating in the real world. Now they might have some bat crazy theories.
Sure. Guaranteed.
But everybody has some little area that they have a pet area for that they need to justify.
I flew to Sweden to do work there for a year, and when I was getting my residency card, I was in line, and I remember meeting people who had like an American flag on their like shoulder, and like maybe American like star-spangled shoes, and I'm like, hey, you speak English from America? It's like, no, sorry, it's just a fashion statement for them to wear the badge and like the shoes. And I'm like, oh geez, that's right, like different country, they just wear it. So I lived in a really small town, very few people spoke English, and whenever I did meet someone who did, I met a Canadian, and I was just like, oh my God, America! It's just like, I'm Canadian. It's like, it's the same thing! Come on!
North America?
Come on, let's hang out. It's good. It's just like, no, let me alone. It's like, come on, we got to be present. So that's how I feel like when I meet another atheist. It's just like, I've been in this country for so long. I just want to reach out. Yeah, I totally get that. I definitely have that. Don't you?
I do, and it's something I like to kind of keep in check because think about it. If I'd have met JW before his deconversion, I would hate to. Well, no, but I mean, he was a person.
you know.
Yeah, well, but think about how I'd miss out on knowing you as a person. So, I guess I also think too that not everybody has put this much thought into it as we have. I mean, I put a lot of thought. I think about religion more than most of my religious friends, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's so many people that just kind of their default religion. They're default religious. They're just, that's what they've always known.
Yeah.
It's the easiest path. And honestly, I bet if you really probed them, they'd I'm actually not, I guess I'm not that religious.
Boudreaux, I'll tell you straight out, the benefit of being religious is that you don't have to think about religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gives you a gold-plated reason to stop thinking, I think.
Yeah. And that is a great, you have to think about it as a benefit. That's a pretty good benefit as far as just like, hey man.
And sleeping late on Sunday and a 10% raise in pay.
There's definitely benefits on the other side too. Yeah. You're just like, oh yeah, I like my weekends.
Wait, you get a 10% raise by not believing?
No tithing.
Yeah, no tithing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. That's.
I guess
you didn't read the fine print.
In their defense, some of them have been psychologically abused to the point that
there's a lot of benefits of leaving religion behind.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm just saying that some of them may have been psychologically abused to the point where they may not. this is I don't have evidence right now to like quote or cite, but there might be people who are incapable of leaving because of the amount of abuse that they've gone through. And so it's on the surface that it's just them not being a critical thinker, but sometimes there might be more at play there.
It's amazing what you can do when you never give someone the idea to cope with death until like they're in their 30s and they just never had the experience to just look at it honestly. And now all of a sudden it's just like, what? Nah. God. Sorry, Bujo, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say in the Muslim world, there's even a bigger penalty to not being religious. You know, I mean, there would be fear. I mean, I imagine there are a lot of people that would otherwise be atheists, but they're too scared.
I've met former Muslim atheists in our lab before, and I won't call them out, but
there's some in our group.
Great. They told me like, you're an atheist? Like, yeah, because at that point I was just getting used to the idea of just saying it out loud. And you would be surprised how many people are like, oh yeah, me too. I'm like, whoa, I had no idea. But I met a guy who I thought was Muslim. Turns out former Muslim, just does the bowing just to make sure his family's good and he doesn't bring any stigma to anyone. And then eventually he got a job back in his home country. And I was just like, oh, that's going to suck. He's like, yeah, it's going to suck, but I got a family. I was just like, yeah, all right, keep at it. So your survival and your family's survival and well-being is primary. Yeah. That's hard.
Do you participate in there's one day a year that's kind of advertised as a come out as an atheist to someone that doesn't know, to someone you know that doesn't know you're an atheist, to tell them?
I like doing that on my own time. I didn't know there was a specific.
I didn't know there was a day.
Yeah, it's something that I should do more as well, but again, because sometimes with work and other things, it just it's getting less and less of an issue for me. But I still worry a little bit about it. I've been outed in the neighborhood, and I think some people judge us differently because of it. But I do. Every year I make an attempt to tell someone, and even try to pick someone kind of risky, someone.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah. Well,
hey, President Trump.
And a lot of people are surprised when they, at least with the experiences that they've had with me, that I've been a nice person.
Yeah.
And,
you're an atheist, but you're so nice.
That's exactly what I was told. Very first person.
That's their argument. They're just like, how can you just... Dude, you got the love of Jesus just all over you, man. I'm just so...
Oh, wow.
I'm just so confused, man. I just...
Yeah, I really would have got along with Joey.
I love science, and I just care about people. That's just what I do.
Yeah. I found that my YouTube channel has been actually a really good vehicle for me to express like the atheism in a really good way, because I won't even tell them I'm an atheist. I just say, hey, I do these really interesting hobbies where I talk to random strangers for like 5 minutes. And they're like, what? I want to check that out. And then through the process of watching the videos, they're like, oh, I get where he's coming from. Because like I'm very open with where I'm at. And it's good to see someone use what they would use as arguments before they even use them on me. Because then they were like, oh, okay. Oh, well then, all right. Well, that's cool. I like this. This is nice. Like, it's just a really good way to introduce that. I know more and more people at my work, the job that I have right now, know of my YouTube channel and know of my position non-religiously, I guess. And they love the gossip. So I'm totally fine with it. There is one Christian at my job though. Or not, I don't mean by one. I mean, like there's one good friend that I have who's definitely Christian who probably doesn't know, but I am slowly putting the layers on. And every single time I ask him questions about his religion, it's always, yeah, I'm definitely a Christian. And then you ask like 2 questions like, yeah, but it's not like I'm really a Christian, or like I don't really like read the Bible or anything like that. It's just like, okay, it may not even be worth having these kinds of talks with you. I want to bring up something. This is a really good tangent. In 4 hours, I actually have a debate with a Christian. And on the topic of meeting an atheist and being really happy, or meeting a Christian and feeling a little apprehension, but like overall getting over it. Have you ever, this guy that I'm having a debate with is a person who I had a conversation with at NanoCon, where Larry and I went up to Nashville and met people and I did some tabling there. He had a really good conversation with me, and I had a good conversation with him, but I assumed that he was an atheist. We actually talked about math and like the idea of like the value of science and all that stuff, and his definition for atheism is exactly on point. He said, "Hey, I do a show too. Can you please come on?" And I'm like, "Totally fine. What do you want to talk about?" He's like, "Does a God exist?" And I'm like, "Which God?" Because I'm not going to give anyone the credit that there's a capital G God or atheism. Like, it's not that. Like, there's so many different God claims.
Right. That's usually what I say when I'm on Facebook and says talking about God exists. I usually just throw that out. It usually gets some response. But I'm curious who this Christian is that you're going to be debating.
So you may not remember him, but his name is Pedro. He's from Ask and Wonder. Are you familiar with him? You never heard him? Okay. I'll be happy to share that video when we do it. But the idea is, I was very sure that this guy was free thinking. Turned out he's Christian. I asked him in an email. He's like, "No, I'm a follower of Christ, and I want to talk about God." I'm like, "Listen, there are billions of people that you can talk to Christ about. In fact, in fact, you have this voice in your head that you have direct communication with like your holy higher power. The difference between all those opportunities you have and that conversation you can have with your higher power is that I actually am listening." And as a result, I'm not immortal. I have a limited amount of time, and if you want to have a conversation with God, you can have them with other people, but I would rather talk about like how you came to a conclusion. Or how about this? I'm an atheist. You're a former atheist. He said he was a former atheist. Why don't we talk about atheism? Because it's not a worldview. I think we can agree on that. It's just an answer to one question. And there's like a lot of things that people apply on that label. Maybe we can talk about that. That would be a really interesting conversation. So that's what I'm going to try to focus the conversation on. And I'm not here, unlike JW's example from last night, to be preached at for 10 minutes at a time while I'm quiet. If we go off rails, I'll be like, "Hey, this is what I want to talk about. This is the time that we have. Let's use it wisely." And that's my point.
I got you.
So undoubtedly there will be a cross somewhere in the background of his video feed when you're talking to him.
Just does this. Yeah.
Oh,
Dread Pirate.
Make sure you ask him, "Hey, what does the lowercase t stand for?"
Do you ever feel this is the most tangent
thing? When they ask you to pray for, when they ask to pray for you, you said, "I'll think for you."
I'll think for you.
Does anyone freak out like if Black Jesus comes back and he's like, "Man, you guys really like lowercase t's"? It's like, "Oh, it's not a lowercase t." He's like, "Oh, and what is it?" It's like, "That was that thing that you died on." It's like, wow, I'm going back. Why would I like that? Why do you think I like that? It's like, we thought you liked this. No, I hate those.
Yeah, and they see them everywhere on every Christian around their neck.
Like,
Isn't that
I like that?
That's a David Cross bit. I think that's a David Cross bit.
Oh, is it? Oh,
well,
I love
now,
David Cross.
Someone else may have, that could be, but yeah. All these Christians wearing crosses on the crucifix on their necks. It's like, do you really think that a cross is the first thing Jesus wants to see when he comes back?
Yeah, I feel
if he was beheaded, would they be wearing a guillotine?
Yeah.
Nice.
Or if he was like kidnapped by Al Qaeda, you wouldn't want that little weird squiggle thing that they use or whatever. I don't know, a balaclava or whatever. It's just like if I was in charge of the marketing department of Christianity, it would be like doves. Like that is an easy, just only doves are our thing. Everybody loves doves. You use them in magic. It's great. No one's looked at dove and been angry. Or the fish thing, kind of sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah. But not the cross. That's like hardcore. Some metalhead got through and like was like someone's boyfriend or girlfriend and snuck it in.
And especially the crucifix when they have his figure on the cross.
Yeah.
Dread Pirate, we're talking about iconography. What would be the better iconography for Christianity? What's your feedback?
Well,
I'm marketing chief.
Yeah, loaf of bread. I don't know.
Loaf of bread. Everybody loves bread.
Piece of toast, right?
That's the bad
with
Jesus
his picture on it.
Jesus on
There you go.
I feel like if we did toast, we start fractions in this society of bread where it's just like,
That's
I'm a little
right.
evil, I'm a little nice, I'm a little whole wheat, then you got the bleached bread, and you're just like, what are you trying to say?
the white toast.
Wheat bread matters.
Wheat bread matters. Oh,
right.
Goodness.
Dread, we were talking a lot about the space flight in the first half of the show.
Oh yeah.
that launched from Florida. Are you aware of it? And what do you think about the idea of us landing on Mars within our lifetimes?
I am absolutely all over it. I just love it. I mean, as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I was old enough to watch Neil Armstrong and his crew land on the moon.
Wow.
And it was amazing. I was just enthralled by it from that point on. And it's been a long-standing hobby of mine, astrophysics and cosmology and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm totally into it.
Did you see the rocket finally land like how they do in like the Twilight Zone, where it's just like this big long thing that just lands straight up?
It looks so science fiction-y, artificially, fakey sort of stuff, right? Yeah. But it's amazing.
It really is. It's the coolest launch ever, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Also, the cockpit's all touch screens. I feel like the astronauts are pushing buttons, but the mission control's like, no, we're not letting you, dude.
They think they're flying this thing. When
they're just going like through apps. It's like, oh, I can play pigs versus zombies or whatever.
Yeah.
Mission control's like, okay, let's land this thing. Yeah. That's bad. I'd say thank you guys for risking your lives and putting yourselves out there and the commitments that everyone did to get that up there, men and women, different, everybody different, coming together to make this incredible thing happy. I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool thing. All right. Nor the end of the show. We got 5 minutes left. Let's do call out. JW, you got stuff coming up in the future. You got your Centrotheist, terrible podcast name.
Well, actually, bad news.
Oh no.
Carl has kind of hit some things in his personal life where he's unable to continue moving forward on what the podcast we were going to do. So
hiatus.
I am left to speak your beautiful mind and here. I also recorded with Faithless Florist this morning.
Nice.
Cool.
So I've got opportunities. So I just just got my own YouTube channel that we did the recording last night, you and I, Ty.
And that's coming out for sure.
Yeah, and I look forward to doing SE like you do.
Nice.
I look forward to having my music and comedy out just whenever they will. It may take a year or so for things to...
Take your time with it. It's no big deal. I would say this. Fanny's also available for you to do interviews. She just did an interview with Nathan, and it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. Fanny loves interviewing people, and she has a pizzazz that's immediately infectious. You would love the experience. And then also our videos for Speak Your Beautiful Mind are coming out as like the test demo of like the stream of consciousness, one person talking for 10 minutes, not stopping, and the other person forcing themselves to try to stay aware of like where the conversation is going throughout. It's a weird experience and it gets intense. And then Boudreaux, listen, how many episodes of Bourbon Street are you going to be sitting on before you finally let them out to the masses? What's going on here?
Our magic number, we're going to go shoot for 5. We got 2 done.
Nice.
We did one with Fanny.
Nice.
I will admit, I don't know that it'll be very kid friendly.
Is the territory with Fanny?
Ever? Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
it went interesting way. It was cool, but we've got another one planned for I think Tuesday night.
Let me know if I can hop in any of that.
Yeah, no, I think I think we've got a cool format where Chad and I are kind of interviewing, so to speak, but we can handle lurkers, and I think it'd be fine.
I'd be interested too.
Yeah, we're gonna do civil rights, civil liberties, that kind of thing. So, and then hopefully talk about seatbelts, because we just never got to it last time. So
yeah, well, you've been supporting our broadcast for so long. I'm happy to help you when you if you need me.
Well, and I'd love for everyone to help share it. We'll get that one out.
I'll throw this out. Hey, Larry, if you have like a weird radio thing, I'd be happy to join in on that too. Maybe we can meet up once a week and talk about it.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If there's like a live atheist TV show or something like that, I'd be like, oh, wow, explain that to me.
Well, I think we'll keep you in mind.
Yeah. Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Actually, the TV show, I have talked to you before about this, I think. And I told them they have permission to use our videos as content for the TV shows. So we may be seeing some of this on the...
You're saying we're going to be on TV too?
Yeah. Well, not actually TV. I mean, that day has gone. They did
Okay,
it for
fair
10
enough.
years.
Radio's cooler than TV these days.
Well, it's
anyway.
internet.
Yeah.
and
Internet
radio.
killed the TV star. I don't
stars,
know.
yeah.
That
Radio
song.
killed the internet star. I forget.
And
TV
COVID.
killed the radio star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Or
Dread.
video killed.
Yep.
Speaking of OBS that no one mentioned, Dread, you're playing around with OBS. What's going on there?
Yeah, I was trying to get that all set up and
I saw it.
teaching myself how to get her done. I had a 2-minute clip there that Ty saw and says, "Did you actually need to post that?"
Yeah.
And but it was funny because I had a couple of people say, "Oh, great editing, man! You know, let's be friends." Of course, it's all tongue in cheek, but I appreciated that. I appreciate that there was a few pairs of eyes on it. But I think I've got it worked out. And if I hadn't been remiss this morning, I would have been on and set up to actually put this on my YouTube
I'd be
channel
totally
live.
for that. Yeah. Yes.
So how about if
absolutely.
you guys are okay with it, I'd like to do that for next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I say, I'm sorry I didn't make it earlier. I was really keen on it, and then
It wouldn't be Canada without an apology for no reason, right? So,
there you go.
there you go.
Well, we
Hey,
had a
I'm sorry for
torrential
existing,
rainstorm
guys.
last night,
uh-huh.
and
That's all your
we're
fault.
actually- we're actually in risk of flooding over here. So
Oh, no,
we're
I'm
just trying to
sorry to
keep
hear
our well, I'm not personally, but I got to look out for my neighbors and help
Sure.
sandbag if I have to, and all
Yeah,
that good
absolutely.
stuff. So
Well, good luck with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
Shoot, you guys can find me on YouTube under Let's Chat. I'm also tweeting a lot more since that space landing thing happened. And I like I said, I have the interview that I did with JW Kennedy. We'll maybe turn this into like a monthly thing where we just like check back. I'd like to try some stream of consciousness thing too, because I know I got a lot of stuff in my mind. But also looking forward to 2:00 Central Time today, where I'll be talking with Pedro and trying to not be preached at for at least an hour and keep the conversation focused on like, hey, you're a former atheist, I'm an atheist. Let's talk about atheism. Like that's a cool thing that we can both agree to talk on. And I'll post that on my channel too. So look forward for that. Larry, what do you got?
Well, as usual, if you want to find me or any of the stuff I've done, just go to digitalfreethought.com for blogs of these radio shows. Noises.
Oh my.
Dropped the speaker back there apparently. Or if you have any questions
Down
for
a
the
Rube
show,
Goldberg machine or something.
yeah. If you have any questions for the show, send them to askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org. If you'd like to find our podcasts, you can find them anywhere pretty much on iTunes, Stitcher, Luminary, podcast.com. Just do a search for Digital Freethought Radio Hour. Now on YouTube under Let's Chat, and also under my channel. I'm posting there as well. So join us again next week at Wednesday at 7 o'clock on WOZO Radio for another Digital Freethought Radio Hour. And as a reminder, everybody is going to somebody else's hell. The time to worry about it is when they prove that heavens and hells and souls are real.
Nice.
Until then, don't sweat it. Enjoy your life. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Stay rational.